Hello everyone, this is Dr. Momin. This audio presentation is regarding the material for week number 1. Our week number 1 will include a discussion on chapter 1 and chapter 2. You will be required to read those two chapters from our textbook, and you will be required to answer the discussion questions that I presented on model for chapter 1 and chapter 2. I started this audio presentation by presenting a brief description of our textbook, Practical Research Planning and Design, the 10th edition. A brief contents of our textbook include 5 parts. Part number 1, the fundamentals, and it has chapter number 1. Part 2, focusing your research efforts, and it includes chapter 2, 3, 4, and 5. Part number 3, it includes qualitative research methodologies, and it has chapter 6 and 7. Part number 4, quantitative research methodologies, and it has chapter 8, 9, 10, and 11. And the textbook ends with a chapter on writing the final research report. In week number 1, we cover chapter 1 and chapter 2 of the textbook, and we ending up with answering discussion questions regarding these two chapters. So I would require you to read chapter 1 and chapter 2 and the extra materials that are presented in model regarding the material in chapter 1 and chapter 2. Chapter 1 is about the nature and tools of research. We talk about the definition of research, a systematic process of collecting, analyzing, and interpreting information to increase an understanding of a phenomenon about which we are interested or concerned. Chapter 1, we talk also about what research is not about. We introduce characteristics of research. We introduce hypotheses and the difference between research hypothesis and null hypothesis. We introduce what are the assumptions that you should state in your proposal for the research project. We talk about the research tools and the difference between research tools and research methodology. We introduce 6 tools of research: the library and its resources, computer technology, measurement, statistics, language, the human mind. In this chapter number 1, we introduce those tools briefly, but in chapter 2, 3, 4, and 5, we will introduce these in details again. Chapter 2 is about the research problem, the heart of the research process. We introduce ways of finding research projects. First, we distinguish between basic research and applied research. We identify criteria for identification of a suitable research problem. We talk about situations to avoid when considering a research problem. We talk about ways of finding a legitimate research problem. and locations. We talk about guidelines for stating the research problem. Now you'll be required to do a research project for this class, and therefore these guidelines in chapter 2 should help you to identify a research problem for your own project and follow the ideas that we discussed in this textbook on how would you write a research proposal and how would you identify a legitimate research problem and finding a solution to the research problem. We talk about dividing the original research problem into sub-problems and the characteristics of the sub-problems. There are some softwares that can help you to relate the sub-problems to the original problem. Our proposal also will include a definition of the research proposal and the research hypothesis and the null hypothesis, a delimitation of the research, the definition of the terms that you need to state it in there, state the assumptions, state the importance of your research project, why did you select this problem, and why do you think it will make a difference when you do this research. Then we talk about the cause-effect relationship. So we introduce in chapter 2 4 variables. 2 are related to the cause and effect, which is the independent variable and the dependent variable. And in between, we introduce also 2 types of variables: mediating variables and moderating variables. You should read examples of cases of research where it includes those 2 dependent and independent variables, and the other 2 variables, moderating and mediating variables. There are some cases and there are some answers for identifications of each one of those variables in these cases. Why we identify the variables? Identifications is helpful in choosing an appropriate research design and an appropriate statistical analysis. As you know, statistics is one of the important tools of our research, and we will devote a big part of our study for learning how to do some of the statistical analysis for our analysis of qualitative and quantitative research. We're ending up with this presentation with the discussion questions for chapter 1 and chapter 2 that I have put them into our model, and you need, after you read chapter 1 and chapter 2 a couple of times, to go ahead and post your answers for these discussion questions on chapter 1 and on chapter 2 on our model website. I will also share with you my understanding of a solution to these discussion questions, and you will see also the other fellow students' answers. We will identify a final answer for these discussion questions. Thank you so much and have a great semester. Thank you.